20 black Hollywood stars who died way too young. Imagine a world where the greatest voices were silenced just as they reached their peak. We celebrate their hits, we mimic their style, and we call them legends, but we often ignore the brutal price they paid for that immortality. From the celestial whistle of Minnie Riperton to the revolutionary fire of Tupac, these icons didn't just break records. They broke barriers while fighting silent battles against a world that loved their art, but often failed to love them. Are we honoring their lives, or are we just fans of their tragedies? Welcome to Black Excellence Legends. If you believe these stories deserve to be told with truth and dignity, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Help us keep their light burning. Which of these legends changed your life the most? Drop a comment below and let's start the conversation. Thompson Young. Thompson Young was a charismatic powerhouse whose presence illuminated the silver screen during the golden era of the Disney Channel. Born in South Carolina, Young's journey into the limelight began with a profound portrayal of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in a local play at the tender age of 10. This early spark ignited a professional fire, leading him to relocate to New York City and eventually land the career-defining title role in the famous Jet Jackson. As Jet, a teenage action star trying to live a normal life, Lee became a relatable icon for an entire generation, blending athletic prowess with a grounded, soulful sensitivity that was rare for child actors. Transitioning from a teen idol to a mature performer, Lee showcased remarkable range. He earned a degree from USC's School of Cinematic Arts, demonstrating a commitment to his craft that went beyond mere fame. His adult career was equally impressive, marked by a standout performance as Victor Stone Cyborg on Smallville and his long-running role as Detective Barry Frost on the hit police procedural Rizzoli and Isles. Off-camera colleagues described him as a consummate professional, kind intellectual, and deeply dedicated. However, behind his infectious smile, Lee battled the silent, agonizing weight of bipolar disorder and severe clinical depression. Despite seeking treatment, the darkness eventually became insurmountable. On August 19, 2013, the industry was shattered by the news of his death by suicide at the age of 29. His passing served as a devastating wake-up call regarding the mental health crisis within the entertainment world. Today, Lee is remembered not for his final moment of despair, but for the barrier-breaking brilliance he brought to every frame, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire young actors of color to dream without limits. Tammi Terrell. Tammi Terrell possessed a voice that felt like a warm embrace, characterized by a crystalline purity and an emotional depth that defined the Motown sound of the 1960s. Born Thomasina Montgomery in Philadelphia, she was a child prodigy who began winning local talent contests before she hit her teens. Her journey was marked by a relentless pursuit of musical excellence, eventually catching the ear of Berry Gordy. While she recorded solo tracks, her artistic zenith was reached through her legendary collaborations with Marvin Gaye. Together, they formed arguably the greatest duo in soul history, delivering anthems like Ain't No Mountain High Enough and Your Precious Love. Their chemistry was so palpable that many fans mistakenly believed they were a real-life couple, yet their bond was built on deep platonic respect and shared vocal genius. Tragedy struck at the height of her meteoric rise. During a 1967 performance at Hampton Sydney College, Tammi collapsed on stage into Gaye's arms. Doctors discovered a malignant brain tumor, a devastating diagnosis for a woman only in her early 20s. Despite enduring 8 grueling surgeries and losing her sight and motor functions, Tammi's spirit remained indomitable. She continued to record from a wheelchair, her voice remaining a beacon of hope, even as her body failed her. Her resilience during these agonizing final years showcased a strength that rivaled her immense talent. On March 16, 1970, just weeks shy of her 25th birthday, Tammi passed away. Her death shattered the Motown family, particularly Marvin Gaye, who was never quite the same after losing his musical soulmate. Tammi Terrell's legacy isn't merely a tragic footnote. It is a vibrant, eternal soundtrack of love and perseverance. She remains the gold standard for soulful elegance, proving that even a life cut tragically short can resonate across generations through the sheer power of an unforgettable melody. Naya Rivera. Naya Rivera was a luminous talent whose versatility as an actress, singer, and author broke boundaries in modern television. Born in California with Puerto Rican, African-American, and German roots, She began her journey as a child model and actress, appearing in commercials and sitcoms like The Royal Family. However, her global breakthrough arrived in 2009 when she landed the role of Santana Lopes on the cultural phenomenon Glee. Originally cast as a secondary character, Naya's sheer magnetism and powerhouse vocals forced producers to expand her role. She transformed Santana from a sharp-tongued cheerleader into a complex, groundbreaking icon for the LGBTQ+ community. Her performances, ranging from soulful Amy Winehouse covers to high-octane Broadway numbers, showcased a technical vocal ability that was arguably the most polished in the entire ensemble. Beyond the screen, Naya was a fierce advocate for representation and an author who spoke candidly about the struggles of being a woman of color in the industry. Her memoir, Sorry Not Sorry, revealed a person of immense wit, intelligence, and vulnerability. She moved through the world with a no-nonsense attitude that masked a deeply nurturing heart, especially toward her colleagues and family. Transitioning into motherhood, she often shared that her son Josie was her greatest achievement, shifting her focus from the frantic pace of Hollywood to the quiet joys of raising him. The world stopped on July 8, 2020, when Nakashi went missing during a boat trip at Lake Piru. After an agonizing 5-day search, her body was recovered on July 13th. The investigation revealed a final heroic act. Naya had used her remaining strength to push her son back onto the boat after they were caught in a current, but she was unable to save herself. At just 33 years old, she died a hero's death. Naya Rivera's legacy is defined by her bravery, both in the fictional stories she helped tell and the final selfless sacrifice she made for her child. She remains an enduring symbol of strength and authenticity for millions. The Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace, universally celebrated as the Notorious B.I.G., or Biggie Smalls, was a towering figure whose lyrical finesse redefined the landscape of East Coast rap. Born in Brooklyn, New York, Wallace possessed an uncanny ability to weave gritty street narratives with a sophisticated rhythmic flow that felt effortless yet rhythmically complex. His debut masterpiece, Ready to Die, was a visceral exploration of the struggle and ambition inherent in city life, catapulting him from the corners of Bedford's Stuyvesant to global superstardom. Biggie's signature baritone voice and his penchant for mafioso storytelling brought a cinematic quality to hip-hop, blending dark realism with an opulent, charismatic persona that resonated with listeners across the socioeconomic spectrum. Beyond the microphone, Biggie was the centerpiece of Sean Puffy Combs' Bad Boy Records, serving as a beacon of hope for New York hip-hop during an era of intense regional competition. His charm was infectious, and his lyrics displayed a vulnerability that was rare for the genre at the time, balancing the bravado of a Big Papa with the existential anxieties of a young man navigating fame. His second project, the prophetically titled Life After Death, further cemented his status as a visionary, showcasing a diverse sonic range that included radio-friendly hits like Mo Money Mo Problems and complex multi-layered lyricism. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a cultural architect who shifted the industry's focus toward polished production and storytelling excellence. Tragedy struck on March 9, 1997, when Biggie was murdered in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles at the age of 24, just weeks before his second album's release. His death marked the darkest chapter of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, leaving a void that the music world still feels today. Despite his brief 4-year career, his influence is immeasurable. Every modern lyricist who prioritizes internal rhyme schemes and vivid imagery stands on the foundation he built. Biggie Smalls remains a permanent fixture in the greatest of all time conversation, a king whose reign was cut short, but whose crown remains untouched. Minnie Riperton. Minnie Riperton was an ethereal force of nature, possessing a vocal instrument so rare and refined that she seemed to exist on a different sonic plane. Born in Chicago as the youngest of 8 children, she initially trained in opera, a foundation that granted her the discipline to master her legendary 5.5-octave range. Before finding solo stardom, Riperton lent her talents to the psychedelic soul group Rotary Connection, where her voice acted as a haunting, atmospheric instrument. However, it was her 1974 album, Perfect Angel, co-produced by Stevie Wonder, that solidified her place in the pantheon of greats. Her masterpiece, Lovin' You, remains a definitive cultural touchstone, famous not just for its tender melody, but for the effortless, whistle-register notes that mimic the singing of birds, creating a soundscape of pure, unadulterated serenity. Beyond her technical brilliance, Minnie was a woman of immense courage and transparency. At the height of her commercial success in 1976, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent a radical mastectomy. In an era when terminal illness was often discussed in whispers, Riperton chose to go public, becoming one of the first celebrities to openly discuss her battle. She became a national spokesperson for the American Cancer Society, receiving a Courage Award from President Jimmy Carter. Her ability to maintain her luminous stage presence and continue recording while facing a terminal prognosis inspired millions, shifting the public conversation around women's health and survival. Tragically, the angel with the high voice passed away on July 12, 1979, at the age of 31. She died in the arms of her husband, Dick Rudolph, while listening to a recording Stevie Wonder had made for her. Though her life was short, her influence is immortal. Her daughter, actress Maya Rudolph, carries on her creative spirit, and her vocal techniques continue to be the blueprint for superstars like Mariah Carey and Ariana Grande. Minnie Riperton didn't just sing songs, she channeled a celestial frequency, leaving behind a legacy of grace, bravery, and a voice that still feels like a gift from above. Aaliyah Donna Houghton was a visionary force who redefined the aesthetic and sound of contemporary R&B, merging street-level grit with a high-fashion, ethereal elegance. Born in Brooklyn and raised in Detroit, her ascent was nothing short of meteoric. By the age of 12, she was already performing in Las Vegas alongside Gladys Knight, and by 15, her debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, had certified her as a prodigy. However, it was her partnership with Timbaland and Missy Elliott on her sophomore project, One in a Million, that altered the trajectory of music history. Her breathy staccato vocal delivery and the avant-garde futuristic production created a blueprint that artists are still attempting to replicate decades later. She wasn't just a singer, she was a trendsetter whose tomboy chic-style baggy pants, paired with effortless poise, became the definitive look for an entire era. As the new millennium dawned, Aaliyah successfully pivoted toward Hollywood, proving her magnetism translated perfectly to the big screen. Her starring roles in Romeo Must Die and Queen of the Damned showcased an actress with a commanding, mysterious presence. She was more than a pop star. She was becoming a multi-hyphenate mogul. Behind the scenes, she was known as a baby girl, a nickname that reflected her sweet, humble demeanor and the protective love she inspired in everyone from Quincy Jones to Jay-Z. Her third self-titled album was a masterclass in artistic maturity, blending rock, soul, and electronic influences into a cohesive, sophisticated body of work that proved she was only just scratching the surface of her potential. The world was shattered on August 25, 2001. After filming the music video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas, Aaliyah and 8 others perished when their overloaded Cessna 402 crashed shortly after takeoff. She was only 22 years old. The loss felt personal to millions. A bright, shimmering future was extinguished in an instant. Today, her influence is ubiquitous, seen in the music of Drake, Rihanna, and countless others who cite her as their ultimate muse. Aaliyah remains the princess of R&B, a timeless icon of grace and innovation, whose legacy continues to sail on a smooth, eternal, rock the boat rhythm. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was a transcendent genius whose velvety voice and sharp business intellect fundamentally restructured the music industry. Born in Mississippi as the son of a minister, Cooke's vocal journey began in the sacred world of gospel with the Soul Stirrers. However, his decision to transition into secular pop music was a seismic shift that essentially birthed the genre we now call soul. With hits like You Send Me and Cupid, he achieved a level of crossover success that was unprecedented for Black artists in the late 1950s. His voice was a marvel of technical control, effortless, smooth, and infused with a melodic purity that earned him the title, the King of Soul. Yet beneath the polished charm lay a fierce revolutionary spirit dedicated to the empowerment of his community. In an era of deep systemic segregation, Cooke was a trailblazing entrepreneur who refused to be exploited by the industry's gatekeepers. He founded his own record label, SAR Records, in his own publishing company, an act of defiance and foresight that allowed him to maintain artistic and financial autonomy. This business acumen was matched by his growing political consciousness. Inspired by the civil rights movement and the folk anthems of Bob Dylan, Cooke penned "A Change Is Gonna Come." This masterpiece transformed his smooth crooning into a haunting orchestral prayer for justice, becoming the definitive anthem for a generation fighting for equality. He was no longer just a hitmaker. He was a prophet of the movement, using his platform to demand dignity. The brilliance of Sam Cooke was extinguished under violent and controversial circumstances on December 11, 1964. At the age of 33, he was shot and killed by a motel manager in Los Angeles during a mysterious altercation. While his death remains a subject of intense debate and pain for his fans, his musical and social impact remains unassailable. Cooke proved that a black artist could be a global superstar, a savvy businessman, and a voice for social change all at once. His legacy is the very foundation of modern soul music, and every time a change is gonna come, echoes through a protest or a celebration, the spirit of Sam Cooke continues to lead the march toward progress. Lisa "Left Eye" Lopes. Lisa "Left Eye" Lopes was the creative spark plug and the unapologetic soul of TLC, the best-selling American girl group of all time. Born in Philadelphia, Lisa earned her iconic nickname from a boyfriend who claimed her left eye was more beautiful, a quirk she later embraced by wearing a condom over her left lens to promote safe sex. As the group's primary rapper and imaginative force, she was instrumental in crafting the crazy, sexy, cool persona that redefined 1990s R&B. While T-Boz provided the low notes and chilly, the sweet melodies, Lisa brought the edge, the poetry, and the rebellious spirit. Her verses on global anthems like Waterfalls and No Scrubs weren't just rhythmic filler, they were socially conscious manifestos that addressed everything from the HIV/AIDS crisis to self-respect. Beyond the music videos and multi-platinum plaques, Lisa was a complex woman seeking spiritual enlightenment and personal evolution. She was often the subject of intense media scrutiny, particularly following a volatile relationship that led to her burning down a mansion in a moment of emotional crisis. However, she refused to be defined by her mistakes. Instead, she pivoted toward healing, frequently traveling to Honduras to study holistic medicine and meditation. She was a mentor to younger artists and a pioneer in the industry, even founding her own production company to empower new talent. Lisa's left eye wasn't just a physical trait, it was a metaphor for her unique perspective on life. She saw a world of possibilities where others saw boundaries, constantly pushing for artistic independence. Tragedy struck on April 25, 2002 during one of her spiritual retreats in La Ceiba, Honduras. While driving a rented SUV, Lisa swerved to avoid a collision, causing the vehicle to flip multiple times. She was the only person fatally injured in the crash, passing away at the age of 30. The shock of her death felt like the end of an era for R&B. She left behind a legacy of uncompromising authenticity and a blueprint for female empowerment that still resonates in the music of artists like Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. Lisa Lopes lived life at full speed, leaving behind a colorful, chaotic, and brilliant trail that reminds us all to not go chasing waterfalls, but to follow our own internal compass. Tupac Shakur. Tupac Amaru Shakur, known simply as Tupac, was far more than a musician. He was a searing intellectual, a cinematic force, and a revolutionary spirit who became the global face of resistance. Born in East Harlem to parents who were active members of the Black Panther Party, Tupac's DNA was encoded with social activism. This lineage manifested in his lyricism, which functioned as a visceral documentary of the Black American experience. While his debut, Tupacalypse Now, tackled police brutality and teenage pregnancy with raw honesty, it was his ability to balance aggressive thug bravado with profound sensitivity that made him a titan. In tracks like Dear Mama and Keep Your Head Up, he displayed a soulfulness and respect for women that was revolutionary within the hypermasculine world of 1990s hip-hop. Tupac's artistry was defined by a frantic, prolific energy, as if he knew his time was limited. He was a chameleon who could move from the Shakespearean training of the Baltimore School for the Arts to the menacing grit of the Death Row Records era. His dual nature was his greatest strength. He was the rose that grew from concrete, a poet who could incite a riot and offer a prayer in the same breath. Beyond music, his performances in films like Juice and Poetic Justice revealed a magnetic actor with a depth that suggested he could have been the leading man of his generation. Despite his legal battles and the polarizing thug life philosophy, Tupac remained a symbol of authenticity, a man who refused to silence his truth regardless of the consequences. The light of this revolutionary icon was extinguished on September 13, 1996, 6 days after a drive-by shooting on the Las Vegas Strip. He was only 25 years old. The circumstances of his death fueled decades of conspiracy theories and global mourning, but his physical absence only served to amplify his voice. Today, Tupac is studied in universities and honored with statues worldwide. He didn't just sell over 75 million records. He gave a voice to the voiceless and proved that a rapper could be a philosopher, a martyr, and a legend. Tupac Shakur didn't die. He became an idea, a permanent reminder that the spirit of rebellion and the power of art are indestructible. Nelsan Ellis. Nelsan Ellis was a transformative talent who possessed the rare ability to humanize the most flamboyant and complex characters with quiet, profound dignity. Born in Illinois and raised in Alabama before honing his craft at the prestigious Juilliard School, Ellis was an actor's actor, a performer who disappeared so completely into his roles that he became unrecognizable. He skyrocketed to international fame through his portrayal of Lafayette Reynolds on HBO's True Blood. While the character was written as a secondary figure, Ellis's magnetic interpretation, blending fierce bravado, sharp wit, and a tender, protective vulnerability, made Lafayette the undeniable heart of the series. He didn't just play a role, he created a cultural icon that challenged stereotypes and demanded respect through sheer charismatic brilliance. Beyond the supernatural world of bon temps, Nelsan demonstrated a remarkable range that spanned historical dramas and intimate biopics. His portrayal of Martin Luther King Jr. in The Butler showed his ability to capture the weight of history, while his role as Bobby Bird in the James Brown biopic Get On Up highlighted his talent for portraying deep loyalty-driven friendship. Off-screen, Nelsan was a playwright and a deeply intellectual man who often spoke of the emotional toll of his craft. He was a performer who felt everything, deeply channeling his personal struggles into his work to create performances that felt visceral and lived in. His colleagues often spoke of his kindness and his gentle giant spirit, noting that his intensity on camera was matched by a humble, thoughtful presence behind it. Tragically, the world lost this brilliant light on July 8, 2017. Nelsan passed away at the age of 39 due to heart failure following complications from alcohol withdrawal. His family bravely shared the details of his struggle with addiction, hoping that his story would help others facing similar battles. His death was a profound loss to the arts, silencing a voice that still had so many stories to tell. Today, Nelsan Ellis is remembered as a performer who broke barriers not by shouting, but by existing with an undeniable, soulful authenticity. He remains a testament to the power of character acting, proving that even in a world of vampires and stars, a grounded, honest human performance is the most magical thing of all. Cheslie Kryst. Cheslie Kryst was a multi-dimensional force of nature who redefined what it meant to be a modern queen. Born in Michigan and raised in the Carolinas, she was the ultimate overachiever, embodying a rare fusion of athletic prowess, legal brilliance, and telegenic charm. Before the world knew her as Miss USA 2019, Cheslie was a formidable, complex civil litigation attorney who earned her JD and MBA simultaneously from Wake Forest University. She didn't just practice law, she used her expertise for the greater good, working pro bono to help reduce sentences for nonviolent drug offenders. Her crown was never just an accessory, it was a platform for justice. With her signature natural curls and an infectious, wide-beam smile, she shattered pageant stereotypes, proving that a woman could be a track and field star, a dedicated advocate for prison reform, and a fashion icon all at once. Transitioning from her reign into the world of broadcasting, Cheslie became a beloved correspondent for Extra, where her sharp intelligence and empathetic interviewing style earned her 2 Daytime Emmy nominations. She possessed a unique ability to make anyone feel heard, from A-list celebrities to everyday people. Beyond the cameras, she was a lifestyle influencer through her blog, White Collar Glam, where she empowered women to navigate the professional world with style and confidence. To the public, Cheslie appeared to be the embodiment of having it all, a woman of immense talent and boundless energy, who navigated high-pressure environments with effortless poise and kindness. However, behind the scenes of her seemingly perfect life, Cheslie was fighting a silent and exhausting battle with high-functioning depression. On January 30th, 2022, the world was stunned by the news that she had taken her own life in Manhattan at the age of 30. Her passing ignited a global conversation about the hidden struggles of high achievers and the critical importance of mental health awareness. Cheslie Kryst's legacy is far greater than her titles or awards. She is remembered as a woman of profound substance who dared to lead with her heart and her mind. Her story remains a powerful reminder that even the brightest lights need support, and her brilliance continues to inspire a more compassionate world where success is measured not just by trophies, but by the peace of one's soul. Otis Redding. Otis Redding was an elemental force of nature whose raw, gravelly vocals and rhythmic intensity defined the very essence of 1960s soul music. Born in Dawson, Georgia, and raised in the heart of the Deep South, Redding's musical foundation was built in the church where he absorbed the emotional honesty of gospel. His professional breakthrough came almost by accident during a Stax Records session where his impromptu performance of "These Arms of Mine" captivated everyone in the room. Unlike the polished, choreographed acts of the time, Otis brought a primal, uninhibited energy to the microphone. He didn't just sing lyrics, he pleaded, groaned, and shouted with a vulnerability that bridged the gap between the sacred and the secular, earning him the reverent title, the King of Soul. As a songwriter and performer, Otis possessed a unique ability to transmute pain into joy and longing into anthems. His performance at the 1967 Monterey Pop Festival remains one of the most legendary moments in rock history as he single-handedly captured the hearts of a predominantly white rock audience with his sheer charisma and vocal power. Behind the scenes, he was a dedicated family man and a savvy businessman who took pride in his independence and his farm in Georgia. He was an artist who understood the pulse of the people, blending the grit of rhythm and blues with a sophisticated melodic sensibility. His music was a universal language that spoke of respect, love, and the human condition, making him a cornerstone of the Stax sound. Tragically, the world lost this titan on December 10, 1967, just days after recording what would become his greatest masterpiece. Sitting on the dock of the bay, Redding's private plane crashed into Lake Monona, Wisconsin amid freezing weather. He was only 26 years old. The song, released posthumously, became his first #1 hit, its melancholic whistle echoing the bittersweet reality of a career cut short at its absolute zenith. Today, Otis Redding's influence is woven into the fabric of modern music, from the rock of the Rolling Stones to the hip-hop of Jay-Z and Kanye West. He remains a symbol of soulful authenticity, a man whose voice was a vessel for the heart's deepest truths. Michelle Thomas. Michelle Thomas was a luminous presence whose natural comedic timing and effervescent charm made her a staple of American television during the late 1980s and 90s. Born into a creative family in Boston, her father was a member of the musical group Kool and the Gang, and her mother was a stage actress. Entertainment was in her DNA. Michelle first captured hearts as Justine Phillips, the stylish and spirited girlfriend of Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. However, she achieved true iconic status when she joined the cast of Family Matters as Myra Monkhouse. As the obsessively devoted accordion-playing suitor of Steve Urkel, Michelle took a character that could have been one-dimensional and infused her with a delightful mix of intensity, sweetness, and impeccable fashion sense, making Myra an unforgettable part of the show's legacy. Beyond her most famous roles, Michelle was a multi-talented performer who moved seamlessly between comedy, drama, and music. She appeared in various music videos for artists like Boyz II Men and Dru Hill, and showcased her dramatic range on the long-running soap opera The Young and the Restless as Callie Rogers. Colleagues and fans alike were drawn to her infectious energy and girl-next-door warmth. She wasn't just an actress, she was a vegetarian and a dedicated practitioner of a healthy lifestyle, known for her vibrant spirit and her commitment to her craft. Even as she faced health challenges, her professional dedication never wavered, and she continued to grace the screen with the same sparkling charisma that had defined her early career. Tragedy struck at the peak of her promising path. In 1997, Michelle was diagnosed with an intra-abdominal desmoplastic small round cell tumor, a rare and aggressive form of cancer. Despite undergoing multiple surgeries and grueling treatments, She remained incredibly brave, even filming scenes for her various projects between hospital visits. On December 23, 1998, Michelle passed away in New York City at the age of 30, surrounded by her loved ones. Her death was a profound blow to the television community and a generation of viewers who had grown up watching her. Today, Michelle Thomas is remembered not for her illness, but for the joy and laughter she brought to millions. She remains a symbol of 90s nostalgia, a bright light whose talent continues to shine through the reruns of the classic shows she helped make legendary. Bobbi Kristina Brown. Bobbi Kristina Brown was a young woman who carried the immense weight of an extraordinary lineage, born into the turbulent epicenter of musical royalty. As the only child of pop icon Whitney Houston and R&B, Bobbi Brown, her life was chronicled by paparazzi lenses from the moment of her birth in New Jersey. She grew up in the surreal glare of reality television and international headlines, a childhood defined by the soaring heights of her mother's voice and the chaotic depths of her parents' public struggles. Despite the surrounding volatility, Bobbi Kristina, often called Chrissy by those closest to her, possessed a sweet, yearning spirit and a deep desire to carve out her own identity as a singer and actress, occasionally joining her mother on stage to display flashes of the family's vocal magic. The trajectory of her life was irrevocably altered on February 11, 2012, when Whitney Houston passed away in a Beverly Hills hotel bathtub. Shattered by the loss of the woman she called her best friend, Bobbi Kristina faced a level of grief and public scrutiny that few could withstand. She attempted to find solace in her relationship with Nick Gordon and sought to honor her mother's memory by pursuing entertainment roles. But the shadow of Whitney's absence loomed large. She was a vulnerable soul caught between the desire to live up to a legendary name and the crushing reality of profound trauma, navigating a world that often saw her only as a reflection of her famous parents, rather than an individual fighting her own silent battles. In a chillingly prophetic tragedy, Bobbi Kristina was found face down and unresponsive in a bathtub at her Georgia home on January 31, 2015, almost 3 years to the day after her mother's death. After spending nearly 6 months in a medically induced coma, as the world watched in somber vigil, she passed away in hospice care on July 26, 2015, at the age of 22. Her death was a devastating coda to a family saga defined by immense talent and heartbreaking misfortune. Today, Bobbi Kristina is remembered as a symbol of the fragile cost of fame and the tragic cycle of inherited pain. She remains a reminder of a young life full of untapped potential, a girl who dreamed of singing her own song, but was silenced before she could find her true voice. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was not merely a musician. He was a sonic shaman who dismantled the boundaries of what an electric guitar could express. Born Johnny Allen Hendrix in Seattle, Washington, he was a self-taught left-handed genius who played a right-handed Fender Stratocaster upside down, a visual metaphor for his entire approach to life, subverting the norm to find something divine. Before he became a global counterculture icon, Hendrix cut his teeth on the Chitlin circuit, backing legends like Little Richard and the Isley Brothers. However, his true liberation occurred in London in 1966, where his band, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, unleashed a sound that felt like it arrived from another galaxy. He didn't just play notes, he manipulated feedback distortion and wah-wah pedals to create a visceral psychedelic landscape that bridged the gap between raw blues and futuristic rock. His stage presence was a masterclass in theatrical bravado and spiritual intensity. From setting his guitar on fire at the Monterey Pop Festival to his historic distorted rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner at Woodstock, Jimi used his instrument as a weapon of peace and a tool of sonic exploration. He was a quiet, shy individual, offstage often described as a gentle soul who lived and breathed melody. His lyrics were deeply poetic, often dipping into science fiction and dreamlike imagery, proving that his intellect was as vast as his musical talent. He pushed the technical limits of the recording studio, experimenting with stereophonic phasing and multi-tracking to produce masterpieces like Electric Ladyland, which remains a cornerstone of experimental music. The cosmic journey of Jimi Hendrix ended abruptly on September 18, 1970, in a London apartment. At the age of 27, he died from asphyxia related to a barbiturate overdose, making him one of the most prominent members of the tragic 27 Club. In just 4 years of mainstream fame, he fundamentally altered the DNA of popular music. Every guitarist who has ever stepped on a distortion pedal or sought to find soul in an amplifier owes a debt to his innovation. Jimi Hendrix didn't just play the guitar, he liberated it, leaving behind a legacy that continues to echo through the halls of rock history like a beautiful, never-ending feedback loop. Natina Reed. Natina Reed was a magnetic, high-energy talent who served as the creative engine and unmistakable voice of the late 90s R&B trio block. Born in New York and discovered by her mentor Lisa Left Eye Lopes, Natina possessed a rapid-fire lyrical delivery and a futuristic aesthetic that perfectly captured the millennium's transition. As the group's primary songwriter and rapper, she was the architect behind multi-platinum hits like 808 and Bring It All to Me. Her style was a vibrant fusion of street-smart swagger and cosmic glamour, making her a standout figure in an era defined by bold visual storytelling. Natina didn't just perform, she commanded the screen with a piercing gaze and an infectious confidence that suggested she was destined for multi-hyphenate superstardom. Beyond the recording studio, Natina achieved cinematic immortality through her role as Jenna Lopes in the 2000 cult classic Bring It On. As a member of the East Compton Clover's cheer squad, she brought a fierce, uncompromising attitude that provided the film with its necessary grit and competitive heart. Her performance became a cultural touchstone for Black Girl Magic, representing strength and sisterhood to a generation of young viewers. Off-camera, she was known for her sharp intellect and a deeply spiritual nature, often described by friends as a wild child with a heart of gold. She balanced the demands of fame with motherhood, raising her son Trent Brown, whom she shared with rapper Kurupt, while constantly evolving her artistic vision. Tragedy struck on October 26, 2012, just 2 days before her 32nd birthday. Natina was struck by a vehicle while crossing a highway in Lilburn, Georgia. The driver stayed at the scene and was not charged, as the incident was ruled a heartbreaking accident. Her sudden passing sent shockwaves through the music industry, occurring nearly a decade after the death of her mentor Left Eye in a hauntingly similar fashion. Today, Natina Reed is remembered as a trailblazer who brought a unique rhythmic edge to the girl group phenomenon. Her legacy lives on in the fierce choreography of modern pop stars and the enduring popularity of the films and songs she infused with her irreplaceable electric spirit. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge was a sublime talent whose elegance and magnetic screen presence shattered the restrictive boundaries of mid-century Hollywood. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, Dorothy began her journey in show business alongside her sister as part of the Dandridge Sisters, performing at the legendary Cotton Club. Despite the systemic racism that relegated many Black performers to subservient roles, Dorothy possessed a regal sophistication and a luminous beauty that demanded center stage. Her career reached its historical zenith in 1954 with her portrayal of the titular character in Carmen Jones. Her performance was an explosive mix of fiery passion and tragic vulnerability, earning her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, making her the first African-American woman ever to achieve this milestone in a leading role. However, Dorothy's professional triumphs were constantly undermined by the cruel reality of a segregated industry. While she was a headliner at the most luxurious venues in Las Vegas, she was often forbidden from using the very lobbies or swimming pools of the hotels she packed with audiences. Off-screen, her life was marked by profound personal struggles, including a heartbreaking marriage and the constant battle to find roles that matched her immense capability. She refused to accept mammy or maid caricatures, a stance that led to long periods of unemployment. Dorothy was a woman caught between two worlds. She was a global sex symbol and a world-class talent, yet she remained a second-class citizen in the eyes of the law, navigating a lonely path as she blazed a trail for future generations of Black actresses. The curtain fell prematurely on Dorothy Dandridge on September 8, 1965. At the age of 42, she was found dead in her Hollywood apartment. While the cause was determined to be an accidental overdose of an antidepressant, the circumstances reflected the immense emotional toll of her life's battles. She died nearly penniless, a tragic end for a woman who had once been the toast of international cinema. Today, Dorothy is remembered as a martyr for representation, a pioneer whose grace and courage paved the way for icons like Halle Berry and Viola Davis. She wasn't just a movie star, She was a symbol of resilience, a woman whose singular light proved that beauty and talent have no color even when the world refused to see it. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway was a monumental genius whose influence on the architecture of soul music is immeasurable. Born in Chicago and raised in St. Louis, Hathaway was a child prodigy who began singing gospel at the age of 3. His musical foundation was further solidified at Howard University, where he studied classical theory, a background that allowed him to infuse his compositions with a level of harmonic complexity and orchestral grandeur rarely seen in popular music. As a singer, his warm, velvety baritone possessed an uncanny ability to convey profound longing and spiritual joy simultaneously. Whether delivering the festive warmth of This Christmas or the heart-wrenching social commentary of The Ghetto, Donny didn't just perform songs, he curated emotional experiences that felt both intimate and universal. Hathaway's artistry reached legendary status through his sublime collaborations with Roberta Flack. Their duets such as Where Is the Love and The Closer I Get to You are the gold standard for vocal chemistry, showcasing two masters in perfect effortless harmony. Beyond his singing, Donny was a visionary arranger and pianist who treated the studio like a laboratory for sonic innovation. His live performances were equally transformative, often turning standard R&B tracks into sprawling jazz-influenced improvisations that showcased his technical brilliance. Off-stage, he was known as a sensitive, highly intellectual man who felt the world's pain deeply, a trait that fueled his most moving work, but also made navigating the pressures of fame an agonizing challenge. Tragically, Donny Hathaway battled severe mental health issues throughout his adult life, specifically paranoid schizophrenia. On January 13, 1979, the music world was devastated when he was found dead after falling from the 15th floor of the Essex House Hotel in New York City. He was only 33 years old. His passing was a profound loss to an industry that was only just beginning to appreciate the full scope of his visionary talent. Today, Donny Hathaway is revered as a musician's musician. His legacy lives on in the soulful phrasing of artists like Stevie Wonder India, Airy, and John Legend. He remains a symbol of pure, unadulterated musicality, a man who bridged the gap between the divine and the terrestrial through the sheer power of his soul. Misty Upham. Misty Upham was a formidable talent and a powerful advocate whose presence brought an undeniable authenticity to the landscape of modern American film. Born on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana, Misty began her professional journey in Seattle's theater scene before breaking into the cinematic world. Her performance in the 2008 indie masterpiece Frozen River was a seismic event. Playing a desperate mother involved in human smuggling, she delivered a performance of such raw, quiet intensity that it earned her an Independent Spirit Award nomination. Misty didn't just act, she channeled the ancestral strength and contemporary struggles of Native American women, refusing to let her characters be reduced to mere stereotypes. Her work in major productions like August Osage County, where she stood her ground alongside Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts, proved she was a world-class performer who commanded respect through sheer talent. Beyond the silver screen, Misty was a vocal warrior for the voiceless. She used her platform to speak candidly about the historical trauma of Indigenous people, the lack of representation in Hollywood, and her own personal battles with mental health. She was a woman of immense intellectual depth who viewed her craft as a form of social activism. Colleagues described her as a force of nature, a person who possessed a fierce protective streak for her community and a vulnerability that made her performances feel deeply human. Despite her professional success, she often navigated an industry that failed to provide the structural support necessary for artists of color facing systemic challenges, making her achievements all the more remarkable for the barriers she had to break. The light of Misty Upham was extinguished under mysterious and heartbreaking circumstances in October 2014. After being reported missing, her body was discovered at the bottom of a ravine in Auburn, Washington. She was only 32 years old. Her family voiced significant criticism regarding the police response, sparking a national conversation about the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women, MIW. Her passing was a devastating blow to the filmmaking community and a reminder of the fragility of the lives that represent our most marginalized voices. Today, Misty is remembered as a pioneer who forced the world to look into the eyes of Indigenous characters with empathy and respect. She remains an enduring symbol of courage, a woman who spoke her truth until the very end and paved a path for a new generation of native storytellers. Frankie Lymon. Frankie Lymon was a lightning bolt of pure charisma, a child prodigy whose soaring soprano and infectious energy essentially invented the concept of the teenage pop star. Born in Harlem, New York, Lymon rose to global superstardom at just 13 years old as the frontman of the Teenagers. Their 1956 hit, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, remains one of the definitive anthems of the doo-wop era, characterized by Lymon's effortless vocal agility and a stage presence that felt years ahead of his time. He was a pioneer who broke racial barriers, becoming one of the first Black performers to be embraced by a mainstream integrated audience on a massive scale. With his sharp suits and wide gap-toothed grin, he was the blueprint for the youthful exuberance that would later define artists like Michael Jackson. However, the industry that celebrated Frankie's youth was ill-equipped to protect him as he aged. As his voice began to change during puberty, Lymon's commercial appeal plummeted, and he was largely abandoned by his management and record label. This sudden shift from global adulation to professional obscurity proved devastating for a young man who had spent his formative years in the spotlight. Struggling with the psychological toll of his fading fame and the predatory nature of the music business, Lymon turned to heroin at a tragically young age. His later years were marked by a desperate cycle of attempted comebacks and deepening addiction, a stark contrast to the innocent, joyful image he had projected to the world during his brief reign as the boy wonder of rock and roll. The curtain fell on Frankie Lymon on February 27, 1968. He was found dead from a heroin overdose on the floor of his grandmother's bathroom in Harlem at the age of 25. He was clutching a recording contract for a new comeback attempt that never came to fruition. His death was a somber, cautionary tale about the perils of child stardom and the lack of structural support for young artists. Despite his tragic end, Lymon's influence is indelible. He paved the way for the boy band phenomenon and proved that the youth market was a commercial juggernaut. Today, Frankie Lymon is remembered as a vocal virtuoso who captured a moment of pure adolescent magic, a star that burned with unmatched intensity before being extinguished far too soon. The lives of these icons, from Minnie Riperton to Frankie Lymon, showcase a profound paradox of Black excellence. Their creative genius liberated global culture while they remained shackled by systemic pressures, health crises, or industry exploitation. At Black Excellence Legends, we honor their mastery, yet their stories force us to confront a haunting reality. If the world consumes Black art with such hunger, but fails to protect the Black bodies creating, it is our celebration truly a tribute or a complicit form of consumption? Does the legendary status we grant these stars justify the tragic price they paid for immortality?